So Sam and I have been home alone for weeks with this quarantine thing. So whenever we get deliveries or visits of any kind, it's very exciting. We've also been using our wood-fired hot tub a lot. So we're out of wood. So the other morning, Sam calls a guy, and the guy says that he can deliver a cord of wood. So this is very exciting. So pretty soon, a couple hours later, we hear the clatter of this like old pickup, like just backing its way into our driveway. And Sam goes out to help him get the wood off the truck. And then immediately I see Sam go back to the hot tub to start the little fire. Um, so, uh, so in around lunchtime, Sam says, you really got to help me come outside and stack this wood with me. And he says, yeah, I had to do it in a hurry because the guy said he had really bad arthritis in his shoulder, poor guy. And I'm like, okay, well, I only have 20 minutes before my next call, but I'll go do what I can. So I go out there and it's snowing and crazy. And we have to move the logs one by one because they're pretty big. Some of them, I don't even know if they're going to fit in our little stove. And so Sam says, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to just rent a splitter and resplit all this stuff. But, at least it's out of the snow for now. So meanwhile, I'm sort of happy hauling these little logs and getting away from our computers, which we've been staring at all day. And, we feel like we're happy little Vermonters and everything, and it's fine. And pretty soon I had to take this other call. So I have to go inside. And then pretty soon after that, I hear the pickup truck, clattering back into our driveway, ass first, and Sam helps him with the second load. So by dinner time, we're very excited because the tub is just about hot. So we, shut our clothes and we find the most ridiculous, like big furry hats, because it's like blowing snow outside, even though it's the ass end of April. And like, I don't know. So we finally get in our little cedar barrel of this divine warm yumminess, and it's great. And it's quiet in the tub for a little bit. And then Sam looks at me with his red furry hat and looks down at his bourbon and rocks and says, oh, so I found out the guy had to split all that wood by hand. And I'm like, oh, well, that's maybe why the logs were so big. And he goes, yeah, can you imagine having to split all that wood by hand when you have arthritis in your shoulder? Poor guy, awful. And I said, yeah, that sounds awful. And that's why, and I raised my little plastic glass of Chardonnay, that's why, sweetie, we save for a wood splitter, he says. Haha, yeah, that's why we save for a wood splitter, he says. No, darling, that's why we save for retirement. And that's how we learn about financial planning in the pandemic. My name is Heidi Lauren, and if you believe this is my story, then vote for me by donating to Ballet Woolkit, but donating $5 to Ballet Woolkit now. Thank you.
So Fox and I have been home alone for weeks on end in the woods of Vermont, looking at computer screens most of the time. And at the end of the day, we've been enjoying our wood-fired hot tub outdoors a great deal. More than usual, in fact. And we ran out of wood at the end of April, which was really a bummer, as you can imagine. So Fox found a guy that said he could deliver wood, which is a big deal in Vermont at the end of April. And we were excited and said he could come the next day. And we were even more excited. And I was at work I heard the pickup truck come up the driveway. And of course we get excited because we live in the middle of nowhere. And the only excitement we have is when someone delivers something at the house nowadays. And Fox went out to help him unload and comes in and he says, well, I was able to get the wood started out there, and I think by tonight we'll be able to have our hot tub all ready for us. He said, but I'm going to need your help. This guy has arthritis in his shoulder, and he couldn't help me, and I couldn't get it all under the tarp and it's snowing. I said, oh my God. All right. So I've got 20 minutes before my next call. And I went out to help him, and he's right. It's snowing. In the end of April, it's snowing. And we were moving the logs over, and these logs, they were so big that we had to move them together. And I'm like, I don't know. Are they all going to even fit into our heater? Or we don't even know. And we helped him. We got him under the tarp, and I went back to my calls and whatnot. And I could hear the truck come back for the second load, and Fox went out and helped him. And, by the end of the day, we went out and checked again on the hot water, and it was getting hot, and we had dinner, and we were so excited. And it's starting to howl out there. The wind is whipping, the snow is coming down. We put on these big crazy hats, took off all our clothes, grabbed our favorite beverage, went out, jumped into the hot tub, and it was awesome. Oh my God, it was awesome. And Fox looks down at his drink, and he gets real serious, and he says to me, I found out that guy with arthritis in his shoulder, he had to cut all that wood by hand and by himself. Can you imagine that? And I'm like, no, I can't. That's awful. I said, that's why we save. And he totally interrupted me and goes, for a wood splitter. And I said, no, that's why we save for retirement. And so that's how we learned about financial planning in the middle of a pandemic. And my name is Heather, and if you believe this is my story, please donate $5 to the Richmond Food Shelf.
Well, with this quarantine thing, Ann and I have been staying home like everybody else, getting kind of crazy, cabin fever. And we've been, because we've had this extra time on our hands, making extra use of our hot tub. And any little diversion has been so exciting. So using the hot tub has been exciting, but we find out we're out of wood. So one morning, Ann gets on the phone. She's able to find a guy who says he can deliver a cord of wood. Very exciting. So before you know it, within 2 hours, we hear this clattering of a pickup truck backing up into our driveway. Here's the guy with the wood. So Ann goes out to help him, and she's out there, offloading, and she sticks her head in and says, I'm going to need your help. And I'm, doing one of my many Zoom calls. So I'm like, okay, I think I'll be able to give you 20 minutes. So I go out there, and she is very excited that the wood is here. So she runs and lights the fire under the hot tub. And I'm out there helping her. And it's kind of nice because I'm getting a break from the computer, and we're both feeling like happy Vermonters moving this wood. And it is, however, the tail end of April, a winter month in Vermont, and it's blowing snow. It's really cold out there, and we're realizing that we need to get this wood out of the snow. And these are not small chunks of wood. Many of them are fairly large, and we're worried, are some of these even going to fit in our little stove? So Ann says to me, I think we might need to rent a splitter, because these are rather large. And she also felt bad because the guy who delivered the wood had really bad arthritis in his shoulder. So after 20 minutes of this, I have to go back in and resume my work on the computer. And I'm working away, and before long, I hear that same clattering again of this same beat up old pickup truck backing up into our driveway with load number 2. And once again, Ann is out there moving the wood with this guy. And at lunchtime, she says to me that she thinks it'll be ready to use by dinner time. So I'm pretty excited about that prospect, and she is too. After all, there hasn't been a lot of excitement in our lives. So dinner time rolls around, and it's still blowing, it's still windy, it's still snowing. So we put on these big furry hats, and the hot tub is warmed up. We shed our clothes, We get into this divine water. It is warm. It is so quiet in the hot tub. And Anne looks down at her Reed's ginger beer and says to me, you know, I found out that guy splits this wood by hand. And I'm like, well, that explains why the logs are so large. And she said, but isn't that awful? He's got this really bad arthritis in his arm and his shoulder, and he had to split all this wood by hand. And I say, yeah, it is awful, poor guy. But honey, and at this point I raised my Newman's Own limeade and I said, that's why we save for, and she said, a wood splitter? And I said, honey, that's why we save for, and she said, a wood splitter? And I said, no, darling, that's why we save for retirement. And that's how we learned about financial planning in the midst of a pandemic. My name is Nancy, and if you believe this is my story, vote for me now by donating $5 to the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps.